So good morning. Thank you for joining us here this morning. I'm glad you took time out of your Wednesday to take time to spend with us. Thank you so much. I am Heather Ledoux. I am the chair of the TechWomen Power Breakfast. We are an initiative of the New Hampshire Tech Alliance. And my day job, I'm the executive director of professional programs and partnerships at Franklin Pierce University. So welcome. And I'm just curious if you have heard of an author by the name of John Burroughs. Well, he said, condition or circumstance that has a greater bearing upon the happiness of life than any other, it is to keep moving. He compares our lives to a stream of water, and his conclusion is, if it stops, it gets stagnant. So make inertia work for you. So it dawned on me, because I just came across this last night, that's what you're doing right now. You're making inertia work for you. You got up early this morning and camera ready to make inertia work for you. And that's exactly what we do here at our Power Breakfast every month. We come together, it's an amazing group of women and men who come together and we grow professionally and socially. We share inspirational stories. We network and we bring awareness to what is possible for women in tech today. So for our regular attendees, welcome back. If you are new to us, thank you for joining us. Just type in the chat box, let us know if you're a first timer and we can give you a nice warm welcome. Just a couple housekeeping items before we get going. Obviously, you realize you're all on mute. And if the slides that we're sharing right now, if you want it to take up your whole screen, in the top right corner, you'll see 4 little white arrows. Just click on that and then you'll see the whole screen in slideshow mode. So just a tip in case that's your preferred view. Then the next thing is the room will be open at the end of our presentation from 9 to 9:30 to allow for more networking. So if you want to hang out and network with more people, feel free to hang out with us. And just give me 1 second here while I navigate my slides. So share our event, please. The New Hampshire Tech Alliance, share it socially. One thing, check out our events calendar on the website through nhtechalliance.org/calendar. You could even sign up on the calendar and then you'll always have it know what all the events are going on. Feel free to share this on Twitter, LinkedIn, or Facebook. So let people know what you're up to and what your thoughts are. And if you're ever interested in sponsoring one of our events, there's a lot of positive things to sponsoring the event because these events can't happen without it. I mean, obviously we're meeting over Remo right now. Normally we do meet in person. But if you're interested or your company's interested, some of the benefits are the opportunity to speak at an event. You get your company name included on all our press releases prior to the event. And it really highlights your company's commitment to support women and girls in technology. And what's cooler than that? So today, I am so excited to bring to you Julie Holmes, who is an award-winning speaker and tech strategist. She has guided tens of thousands of people in why, when, and how to leverage technology effectively. She's the founder of 2 innovation companies, and she's designed and delivered tech products that are helping businesses grow their brands in over 35 countries. She's a 20-year corporate veteran who had worked her way to director of strategy at a global enterprise software organization. She's an inventor, an app developer, pragmatic technologist, and an innovation expert. And just so you're aware, Julie, as I mentioned, is an award-winning speaker. So she was so kind to speak to us on pro bono today, in-kind efforts. So we really thank her from the bottom of our heart to join us. And she's joining us all the way from the UK this morning. So please join me in welcoming Julie Holmes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good morning. I'm so pleased to have you, Heather. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's such a pleasure to be here. We have some amazing content to cover today, and I had to make some very difficult decisions early on. And the big decision was, how much do I try to squeeze in to this 45 minutes? Now, The good news is that I've decided to squeeze in absolutely everything I possibly thought we could fit into this 45 minutes. The bad news is that I decided to squeeze in absolutely everything that I thought could possibly fit into this 45 minutes. So prepare to have your mind blown a little bit. Prepare to kind of sit back and try to take it all in. But what I would ask of each one of you is that you play along. So this is an opportunity for you to really put yourself first and to really be thinking about what you need. Put away your other work emails, put away your kids, tuck your dogs into their dog crates, which is where mine is right now, at least the little one. Focus on you for the next 45 minutes. And my promise to you is that you're going to walk away from this with one or more, hopefully many tips that you'll be able to implement right away. So I'm going to share some slides with you because that is one of the ways in which I keep myself on track. You'll also notice that there's a lot happening in the general chat. I would encourage you to spend lots of time in the general chat. I'm going to be asking you things, and that's how I'm going to be encouraging you to participate during this process. So the topic that we are covering today is actually my personal favorite topic. I do speak on innovation and sales and technology all over the world, and it's been amazing. Not in the last kind of 12 months, but before that, I've been privileged to speak all over Europe, North America, and South America, and it's been and of course, Asia Pac as well. It's an amazing gift to be able to do that. And when the New Hampshire Tech Alliance approached me about speaking, I think initially it was kind of thought that I would speak on innovation, which is great, and I do love it. But when they told me that this was the Power Women Breakfast, I was like, I've got just the thing for you. And this is kind of my heart topic. So I, in addition to my background in technology, I also have a master's degree in communication. And one of the areas that I studied extensively was around influence and persuasion and really understanding from a presentation perspective, personal presentation skills, not just speaking skills, but presentation skills. What is it that really makes people so confident? Like many of you, my background is varied. So yes, I've had a long career in technology, and that has been absolutely amazing. But my life didn't start out like that. And so we'll talk a bit more about that. But more than anything, I am just so excited to be here and to share with all of you one of my favorite topics and to help you walk away from this morning feeling kick-ass. That's our goal. So welcome to Kick-Ass Confidence for Professional Women and everyone else. I'm Julie. If you have questions at any time, you're welcome to put those into the Q&A chat. I'll try to keep an eye on them. Anything we don't get answered up front, we'll have Heather ask me toward the end. And of course, you also have this general chat, which I'll ask you to participate in. All right, let's get started. Let's make some magic happen. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is a cool little exercise. Now, please, please, please play along, because if you just do this in your head, it won't be the same, I promise. So what I'd like you to do right now is I would like you to grab a slip of paper, or you can just use your keyboard, whichever you prefer. And if you were going to pick one word that you would want to be known as throughout your organization, what would that one word be? So if you were going to pick one word that you wanted to be known as within your organization, if somebody was to say, oh yeah, Susan, she is blank, how would that blank be filled in? Everybody take a moment and pick out that one word. Once you've picked out that one word, I would appreciate it if you would put that one word into chat if you're comfortable to share. What is the word? Good. Effective, curious, sincere, motivated. Wow, look at you go. Happy, thoughtful, reliable, enthusiastic, inspiring, amazing, positive, knowledgeable, intelligent. Wow, these are going so fast. I have to scroll back up a second. Here we go. Versatile, sincere, curious, balanced, empowering, caring, amazing. Got a lot of amazing. That's great. Approachable. Very good. Thoughtful, driven, very nice. Dependable, Great. Now what I would like you to do is I would like you to take that word and put it in front of you for just a few minutes. Now, when we do this program live, when I work with people and do this program live at organizations, one of the things that we do is a little exercise where we actually, that's what you're called. That's your name for the duration of this process. And the reason that I do that is that I would love for each of you to look at that word and to challenge yourself a little bit as to whether or not that word is ambitious enough for you. Is that really how you want to be known? Or is that where you're settling to be known? Is that a word that you feel is a word that you are proud to own? Or is it the word you feel you do own? Is that who you really want to be? Or is that who you're settling on being? And it's an interesting concept to think about how we name ourselves, and how we name ourselves in this exercise can actually say quite a bit about how we feel about ourselves and how we present ourselves to the world. And I can already see, some people are chiming in going, ooh, it's a bit settling. Ooh, I'm settling on this. And that's exactly the challenge, right? Are we willing to put a brave enough, big enough, bold enough word on ourselves so that we can live up to that word every single day? Or are we just putting a word on ourselves that people go, yeah, that's reasonable. That's achievable. We can do that. We don't have to do more than that. We can just do that. So it's good to have that word and it's good to own it, but it's also good to be ambitious about it and to make sure that you are presenting yourself internally and externally exactly how you want to be seen. Okay, but we're going to talk more about that as we progress. Thank you all very much for sharing. I appreciate it. But before we get started into the actual kind of heavy duty, like grab your pens and pencils and let's make some magic happen, I want to talk a little bit about how we got to where we are today. So first of all, just a few statistics. In surveys, it's been identified that female employees that are confident that they can reach the top management, when people first enter the workplace, when women first enter the workplace, 27% feel confident that they can reach top management. By the time they've been in that workplace for 10 years, 13% feel that's to be true. So first of all, those are two very sad numbers in my opinion, because we know, all of us, that there is huge value in having that diversity at our upper management and executive levels. So that's one challenge. But we also know that 73% of women will not pursue a job that is beyond their definable experience. 65% won't ask for a promotion, and 61% won't ask for a raise. Now, while those numbers are fairly scary, here's what I'll add if you manage people. If you manage people or have any responsibility for the people within the workplace, here's an interesting statistic. One of the questions that I ask often when I'm presenting this content is, how many of you would rather go and get a new job, quit your current company and go get a new job rather than ask for a raise or a promotion? And it is invariably over half of the people would rather leave a current job and go get a new one rather than ask for a promotion or a raise within their current role. Now, the cost of retention of employees and the cost of employee churn is massive. And that is a huge expense to an organization. So if we aren't empowering the people within our organizations to have good, rich conversations that help them get to where they want to be, we will lose them. And that is expensive and demoralizing and frankly, sad. So all of this, despite a few important facts, 50% of the population is female, 57% of our workforce is women, and women represent 67% of consumer spending. So we've got the numbers and we've got the math and the money behind us. So we have every reason to be confident. But before we get in any farther, I want to share with you, many of you, thank you very much for taking time to complete the pre-event survey. It really helped me to understand and to really tailor this content specifically to what you were asking for. A few interesting numbers I'd like to call out and share with you. The first is that 78% of you said that you would like to reach a more senior position at work, while 64% of you cited that a lack of confidence holds you back at work. Although 91% indicate that you're respected at work. So isn't that an interesting difference? The 91% indicate that you're respected at work, but 64% see a lack of confidence as holding you back. What's another really interesting statistic is that from confident at work, you rated yourselves at a 3.7, but at a confidence at home, it was only 3.59. Interesting. We're going to talk about some different skills that you can employ that are going to be usable both at home and at work, because frankly, it's kind of all one and the same. All right, so just a few statistics. We just had a hugely varied response, and I'm so excited by that because it means that there's something in here for everyone. So we've got a huge range of organizational sizes and ages, as well as roles that are joining us today. I've taken all of your feedback, questions, and comments that you shared with me in that survey, and I've tried to integrate as many of them as I can into this presentation. And of course, we do have the opportunity for questions and answers at the end. So one of the questions that's just come in that I think is worth noting is, are we sure we aren't being held back, worried we are missing the role of institutional sexism? Is there conscious or unconscious bias happening in the workplace? Of course, there's unconscious bias in the workplace. We only have to look at the recent Me Too movement, and I can still remember how many people were shocked that even, that I could hold up a sign that said Me Too, and most women can. Here's what I would say. Yes, that is a possibility, and I have worked in male-dominated environments almost my entire career. What else is really important is that while that might be true of our environment, that is simply more motivation for us to continue to develop ourselves and our skills, as well as encouraging our peers and our management to also develop so that we can, over time, minimize and eventually eradicate that bias that happens. It starts with us. And that's what we're going to focus on today, is what we can do. How hard is confidence? One of the questions that I asked was, can you share a story or an incident where you felt a lack of confidence held you back? And I just wanted to share a couple of these because I thought they were both insightful and at the same time, like, oh my gosh, that's awful. And I want to make sure that everybody knows that you're not alone. That's really the first thing I want you to walk away from today with. You're not alone. Every single person, myself included, everybody has moments where confidence is lacking, where we're like, gosh, I just don't know. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I should do this. I don't know. I don't know if other people believe in me. What if I fail? What if I do it wrong? So many of us go through this process. And it affects so many different parts of us. It affects our ability to, ask for promotions. It affects us financially. We don't ask for raises. It can affect us morally, where we don't share our opinions and we don't share our beliefs, so that we are not true to ourselves and true to our personal wants and needs. But it can also hold us back professionally. Whether that's in not creating proposals and getting things done because we just aren't sure that we can do it right. So it kind of goes on the back burner. And sometimes it actually results in us making important life-changing decisions, like quitting jobs, because we just didn't have the confidence to address a challenge or problem that we saw in front of us. These challenges exist, but there is hope. And that is what we're going to focus on today. And we're going to focus on hope. Now, I often when I used to do this presentation, before this movie, Captain Marvel, came out, I used to have a picture of Wonder Woman in my presentation because I am a child of the 70s. And as a child of the 70s, that meant that I grew up on Charlie's Angels and Wilma Deering from Buck Rogers and Wonder Woman and a host of seemingly powerful female characters. However, in retrospect, I think we can all look back and think, well, they were strong female characters in a very male-centric world and through a male lens. What I was so excited about when Captain Marvel came out, and for those of you that have daughters, you might have looked at this a little differently as well, was that this was one of the first times that we saw a leading female character who did not have a romantic love interest and was not ashamed or did not have to overcome her own confidence issues about being who she was. And that's a huge turning point. When we start to see media and culture reflecting who we want to be and who we should be in our communities, that is the beginning of change. And I'm so excited about that. There's another reason. And that other reason is really because I also have 2 daughters. And my daughters are now 16 and 17. But when they were in about the 4th grade, I noticed a substantial change. And that change was that prior to then, my girls were indestructible, unstoppable. They, for never a minute, doubted anything that they could do. They would pick up an instrument. They would sing out of tune. They would chime in, have an opinion, share a story. They were fearless. And I was so smug as a parent. And I was like, yes, I am nailing this parenting thing. And then 4th grade rolled around. Now, as women, many of us can remember 4th grade as being particularly traumatic. It's right up there with middle school. But all of a sudden, I started to hear completely different phrases coming from my daughters. Phrases like, yeah, I'm not good at math. Yeah, I'm not good at that. Oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be embarrassed. I'm afraid of what people will say about me. And all of a sudden, it changed. And to help combat that, I really spent a lot of time. I was actually leading a Girl Scout troop at the time, my daughter's Girl Scouts troop. And I spent a lot of time really trying to break down the idea of confidence and presentation of yourself as a skill set and really try to break it down into actionable, consumable, digestible pieces. And that was the foundation of the Kick-Ass Confidence program. So let's talk about why you're here. You told me in your survey that this is what success looks like. You wanted to come away from this event with tangible tips, concrete actions, some inspiration, some baby steps and daily practices that you could put into action, and the ability to ask for a raise. I can't tell you how many times I saw tangible tips and concrete actions listed in there. And that reinforces what I experienced so many times when I attended confidence programs or other presentation programs, which was around, well, just be more confident. I mean, it's super easy. I mean, just do it. Like, whatever, like, just stop worrying about it. Just don't worry about what other people say. Just do it. And of course, we've all heard that kind of advice, just be more confident, but it's really hard to action be more confident. What does be more confident look like? That's where this foundational program came into play. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to cover 3 key areas. I actually sat down and all my nerds, here's a shout out to all the nerds. If you love a good spreadsheet and some good analytics, I said I have a background in tech. I am thoroughly an engineer from start to finish. And as such, I broke this into an actual data problem. So rather than just like all touchy-feely, we are going to get down to the nitty-gritty. And I did that by creating a confidence equation. And this confidence equation is basically a form. I'll show you an example of it later, but it's basically a form that allowed me to step out of my emotional state of how I felt and instead into a quantitative state where I could be much more analytical about my confidence and what I needed to be successful. I'm going to pull out the 3 areas of that confidence equation today: preparation, deportment, and history. These are the things we call being ready to kick ass, acting like you can kick ass, and then expecting to kick ass. And then the results of this program are that you are going to spend this time thinking about you. You are going to walk away with at least 10 tips or rules that will allow you to be and project more confidence around you. And you're going to keep it growing. Now, normally, if we were all meeting in person, you would have a lovely sheet of paper with numbers 1 through 10 on it so that you could keep track of your tips. Your first action item is to grab your own piece of paper because I'm going to give you very specific tips, and I would love for you to write those down so that you have them at hand for the future. And at the end, I'm going to ask you which ones you're going to do. So everybody grab your piece of paper and let's get started. I'm going to start off with two of my favorite rules. Now, I break things down into rules and guides and steps because that is a way that's easy to remember them. So the first rule is called the rule of specificity. Now, the rule of specificity is one that you can use everywhere, at home and at work. It's actually a rule that I learned in a child rearing book. And because both of my daughters are adopted, it was something I had to study. I had to read a lot of parenting books as part of the adoptions process. And so I remember reading this and thinking, how did I not know this before? And the rule of simplicity says that if I'm going to compliment you or give you feedback on something, then I'm always going to have more impact on you if I'm more specific with what that feedback is. So for example, if you see a peer or if even one of your children or your spouse or your partner, whatever it is, does something and you say, oh, that's a really good job. Good job, honey. Nice job. Don't say honey to the person that you work with. If it's somebody that you're working with, I would say, nice job, Bob. Well done. However, that nice job is often too vague. It's not specific enough. And as such, we don't really reinforce the behaviors or the actions that we truly want to encourage. Instead, we're just basically going, yep, you're there. Good job. You're still there. Instead, the rule of specificity says that the more specific you can be in your feedback, the more likely you are to get a repeat of that behavior. So instead of saying, hey, nice job, instead what I might say is, hey, you did a great job of organizing that meeting and making sure everybody understood exactly what was coming up in the agenda. That was brilliant. Instead of saying, hey, I really appreciate what you did the other day. Instead, you might say, hey, I really appreciate the fact that you took time to call me before the meeting and make sure that I had all of the preparation work that I needed to have done. I really appreciated that follow-up. Thank you so much for doing that. Can everybody get a feel for how different that feels? Not only does it make that person feel like they know exactly what they were doing, but it makes them feel genuinely seen and heard for what they did. So your first challenge is to demonstrate the rule of specificity. People lead by example and people follow what they see. So if you are setting a strong example of what the rule of specificity looks like, you are much more likely to get the rule of specificity handed back to you. All right. I love it. Yes, it does feel very empowering. Oh, I love it. Okay. Rule number 2. This one is one of the hardest rules, which is why I put it in the front. This is called the rule of acceptance. I want you to imagine for a second that I am coming over to your house. I have spent time to select the perfect gift for you as a housewarming present, for example. I have gone to the shop. I have looked through the shelves. I have picked something out. I have looked at it. I have selected it. I have put it into a gorgeous box. I have taken that box. I've put the lid on it, wrapped a gorgeous ribbon around it, and I've brought it to you and I handed it to you. If that was a legitimate, real physical gift and I handed it to you, you would say, what? What would you say? Type it into the chat. What would you say? I hand you this gift. What would you say? You would say, thank you. Quite simply, thank you. You wouldn't say, nah, I don't really like it. Nah, I disagree. That's not something I would like. You would never do that. That would just be so rude. You would never in a million years do that. And yet, that is exactly what we do most of the time when we are handed a compliment. Somebody takes the time to acknowledge or to recognize something valuable that you have done or something valuable about you. They have taken that observation, they have packaged it up in a beautiful gift box, they have put a bow on it, and they have presented it to you. And instead of saying, thank you so much, I really appreciate you noticing that, we say, oh, this old thing? Oh, no, it was nothing. No, I don't deserve it. No, I couldn't possibly. No. And we throw that gift back in their face. Now, I want you to imagine that if that was a physical gift and every time you gave somebody a physical gift, they threw it back at you, how long would you continue to give them that gift? Like, you wouldn't keep bringing stuff over, would you? You'd be like, oh, you can't please them. There's no making them happy. I'm not going to waste another dime on them. And yet that's exactly the environment we create when we don't accept compliments properly. The proper way to say thank you for a compliment is, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you want to go a step farther, you use the rule of specificity. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that you noticed the time I'd spent working on the agenda. I really appreciate that you noticed that. Thank you. And all of a sudden, not only have I given my gratitude for a gift that was very generously given, but I have also made that giver feel amazing. So you're not just doing it for you, but you are also doing it for the person who is giving you that compliment. Moreover, the more that you accept those compliments and own them, the more you will decrease your amount of second guessing. This isn't about second guessing yourself. There is nothing wrong about accepting compliments. It is theirs to give, not yours to argue with. So the rule of acceptance. So here's your first challenge. Your first challenge is 1 week of just saying thank you. And in fact, if you want to know how I really say it, it's say thank you and then shut the hell up. If you can't think of anything good to say after the words thank you, stop talking right after the words thank you. So remember to say thank you. And yes, it might be a team effort, but that is still not grounds for you to disparage or to discourage that compliment. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you noticing that. In all fairness, it wasn't just me, but I really appreciate your words. So if it is a team effort, great. Make sure that you do share that compliment, but make sure that you're not disparaging yourself in the process of it. There's at no point do you say, I didn't do anything. It was all the team. Thank you for noticing that. I would love to share that compliment with the team who worked so hard to help us deliver this project. Hope you can all experience the difference of that. Perfect. All right. And then I'm just going to pop over to Q&A for just a second. Yeah. How do you stop apologizing or saying sorry? The really easy way to stop apologizing in the questions, we have a tendency to negate compliments. Similarly, do you have any tips or tricks for getting women to stop apologizing or saying sorry as part of our lexicon? So here's the quick and easy answer to that is to figure out how to say thank you instead of sorry. If you're running late for a meeting, I tend not to say, oh, I'm really sorry I'm late. What I'll tend to say is, thank you so much for your patience and waiting for me. I appreciate it. Remember, in fact, I used to tell this to my kids all the time. You're only sorry if you're not going to do it again. If it's out of your control, there's not a lot that you can be sorry about because sorry indicates regret. So if it was out of your control, you can't have a lot of regret. Your words matter. There's actually nothing wrong with being sorry if you truly regret something. However, make sure that you're using it at the right time and in the right context. So say thank you. And that's the general rule that will help you avoid sorry. Okay, so let's keep going. We have so much to cover. Oh my gosh, hurry, hurry, hurry. All right, so first up, we're going to talk just a little bit about what confidence is. So confidence, quite simply, is feeling or showing confidence in oneself or one's abilities or qualities. So it's simply owning who you are and what you're capable of. I loved many of the comments that you shared in the survey where you talked about what kick-ass confidence looked like. And I'll let you all kind of skim through these for just a second, but it's along the lines of having courage to tell others, making sure, not being a know-it-all. Interesting how even when we talk about being confident, we have to put caveats in there of, yeah, it's knowing what you want and being really forward for it, but not too much, don't be too much. And it's good. The great news is, as long as we have that dual empathetic perspective, we are never going to be over the top or arrogant, right? This isn't about arrogance. It is about having a balanced perspective, but it is about owning who you are. The one that I particularly liked was this last comment, which says confidence and kick-ass confidence are different. Sometimes confidence can be arrogant. Kick-ass confidence is someone willing to listen, plan, take charge with grace, and reflect. I picture that person smiling all the way. And that's, you know what? That's such a good quote. I wish I had written it. That's amazing. And that is exactly how I see kick-ass confidence. It isn't about us kicking other people's asses. And that's not why I use that term. I use that term because it's a little bit brassy, and it's brassy enough that we say we're going to kick our own ass. We deserve this. We are capable and confident, and we can make anything happen if we try. Oh, so good. Okay, so your first thing, this is number 3. So I've got numbered these tips as we go along. Number 3, your confidence is your choice. I have historically provided confidence coaching for women. I actually don't do that very often anymore. I only work with a few select executives now. And the reason is because my philosophy is that confidence is a choice. And what I mean when I say that it's a choice is that if there's ever something that you're not happy with, you are the first point of change. So whatever it is, and this is really what this whole program is about controlling what you can control. It's too often that people will say, I'm not confident, and that's just the end of it. I'm not good at public speaking, so I won't do it. I'm not confident, so I won't put myself forward, as opposed to saying, I'm not confident, so I'm going to sit down and figure out how to get more confident. I said that my background is quite varied. I have managed to work into executive levels of several different organizations. I'm an inventor. I've got products all over the world, but I wasn't raised in that world. And what I mean by that is that my mom was a single teenage mom. You know, she was divorced by the time she was 20 with 2 kids under 3. And she never graduated from high school. Neither one of my parents graduated from high school. And so I wasn't one of those people that grew up in a family, you know, knowing all about networking and how to stay in touch with people and how to, it wasn't expected that I would go to college. It wasn't, that was the environment that I was raised in. We were poor as church mice, and we didn't have that strong community support. And so everything I've learned about presence and presentation and confidence is all learned. I didn't come out of the box this way. And that's one of the key things I want everyone to take away, is that if you really want to be more confident, if that is really something that is important to you and you can see and feel the value of it, this is up to you. This is your choice. And I'm going to talk you through some specific things. We've already shared a couple that you can specifically do. But the most important mindset shift you can make is that confidence is a skill like any other. And it's a skill and a muscle that you can exercise. And just like walking, it won't feel right when you first start doing it. If you were to ride a bike for the first time, it doesn't feel natural, right? You feel like you're going to fall over all the time. But gradually what happens is you build up muscle memory. And that muscle memory means that you don't have to work so hard the next time. And the next time after that, you don't have to work so hard. And before you know it, you're not an imposter anymore. You were never an imposter, but you felt like one. But you're not anymore because you have become that thing that you've strived so hard to train yourself to be. You've taught yourself to be more confident. So that's the foundation of that. Okay, so I talked about this kick-ass confidence equation. At the end of this program, there'll be an option for you to go and get a copy of this form as well as a download of these slides. You'll also be asked to answer a few questions, which I'll be sharing back with the organizers about what you're going to do as a basis of this program or from this program. But the confidence equation is very simply, I needed a way, I made this for me. I needed a way to break down the attributes of confidence and for me to be able to look at it and go, where's my gap? Where am I struggling and how do I fix it? And I broke that into 3 primary areas: environment, getting physical, and history. With environment, you've got things like location, preparation, stakes. We're going to talk about all of these. But the idea of the kick-ass confidence equation was really that I would say, like, where am I starting at? Am I feeling really good about this area, or am I feeling not great about this area? Like, from a confidence perspective, how do I feel? And understanding how I felt right now and in which areas I felt most challenged meant that I could look at those and go, that's an area I need to fix. This is an area that I need to put some action into. And if I put some action specifically against this area, I will increase my confidence. I wanted to take it away from being a feeling and turn it into being more of a, there we go. Does that help? Sorry, somebody was asking about making the slides bigger, Josh. There we go. This is a page, so it's not quite so big. Oh, there you go. You're telling everybody else, not me, Josh. Thank you. Appreciate that. Right. So the goal is that we take away some of the emotion and we actually turn it into something scientific, something that we feel we can control with very, we're going to talk about what those are now. All right, let's get started. First, we're going to talk about preparation. I can't cover every single attribute of each one of these, so I've picked out the ones that are most relevant based on your feedback. So preparation is all about how we are organized and ready to do our best work. Beverage break. Okay, when we talk about preparation, there are a number of areas. The first is the appearance of organized, the clarity of expectations, building rapport before you need it, never underselling your preparation. You guys know who you are, and getting a buddy to champion you. Let me tell you some specific tips in this area. First, this is one of my favorites, and this one is a little painful for some of you. And this is rule number 4. It's called the rule of seeing is believing. I want you to imagine for a second that you go to, let's just use one of my teenagers as an example, because we had this situation yesterday. She was asking if she could borrow something of mine, something fairly valuable to me, maybe not monetarily valuable, but it's valuable to me. And I went to her room and it was as if that room had been broken into. Like, my first question could legitimately have been, is everyone okay? Now, for those of you with kids, you may know what this looks like. But, you know, we had the drawers open, clothes strewn about, like empty food bags on, like, I had no idea how this happened, right? And I just walked in and thought, oh my God, it looks like somebody has broken into her room and is looking for like contraband, like the FBI had broken in. It was terrifying. And my first thought was, I'm not prepared to trust you with anything that's valuable to me. You clearly aren't taking care of your environment. And therefore, when I look around, it doesn't seem to me that you're ready to take on more responsibility. This is exactly what happens when people walk up to our desk at work and our desk is a mess, or our briefcase is a mess, or our backpack's a mess, like whatever it is you're carrying, your car's a mess. When people walk up and they see that, their first thought is not, oh, let me give this person some more stuff because I clearly, like, they are clearly going to take care of it. Immediately what we see when we see that kind of environment is we think, I don't want my stuff to get lost in there. So the rule of seeing is believing is, when you look at your space, are you presenting a picture that says, I am capable and ready to take on more work? And not necessarily even more work, more responsibility. I am ready to own whatever you're about to give to me, and you can trust that I will take care of it. If people can't see that in your environment, then they won't feel confident in giving you work. And if they don't feel confident in giving you work, they will hesitate. You will feel less confident about it as well. I can also tell you that depending on who you are as a person, I do some of my best work when I am not surrounded by clutter, because all that clutter keeps me distracted. Half of my mind is always on, like, oh, I got to deal with that pile over there, and I've got to deal with that pile over there, and oh, I mustn't forget to do that, instead of being able to truly focus on what I'm looking at. So the rule of seeing is believing. People believe what they see. You'll notice even this is true in a virtual space. In a virtual space, this is almost more true because, you know, like, we have to have more control over what people see around us, and we don't have an office space where I can shove a bunch of stuff in drawers. Be conscious of what people see around you. It is part of your appearance. So please be conscious of that. Okay, clarity of expectations. Wait, let me just keep going. Number 5, clarity of expectations. The rule of expectations. This is a great rule, by the way, and one that you should definitely be sharing with everyone. You can only claim success if you have named success. This is really true. I actually learned this when I was working as a project manager. And as a project manager, I remember initially I'd be like, yeah, this project's going great. And then somebody else would be like, this project sucks. This project is totally tanking. And I'd be like, whoa, I thought this project was going great. You say it sucks. Why is that? And how do I fix it? And that's where we get to the rule of expectations. Who can remember what I said success looks like for this event today? What does today's success look like? Go ahead and type it into the chat if you can remember what success I said looks like for today. You'll remember early on in the presentation, I said, this is what you asked for, and this is what you're going to get. Absolutely actionable items, coming away with tips, dot, 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 dot. So now we're going to get to the end of this, and I'm going to ask you, did you walk away with at least one new tip that you are going to be able to put into practice right now? You're going to say yes. I'm going to say this meeting was a success, and we are all going to agree that that happened. I named success, I delivered it, and now I can claim success. So wherever you're at with your projects, if you want to be confident in being able to say you have successfully delivered something, then in advance, you need to know what success looks like and name it. You can only claim success if you've named success. Number 6, the $5 principle. This is just one of my favorite tips. It was actually a tip I created for my daughters when they were younger, and it's called the $5 rule, the $5 principle. The $5 principle says that if I want to really connect with people, then one strategy that I can use to truly connect with them is that my challenge is to get to know each person that I interact with in a way that said, if I had to go buy them a $5 gift, you don't legitimately have to go buy them a $5 gift. But if I was to go and get them a $5 gift, would that gift make them go, wow, I can't believe you noticed that about me. That's amazing. Wow, thanks. Or is it like, oh, another Starbucks gift card? Okay, thanks. Right? Everybody feel the difference of those two? So this is a way to build rapport before you need it. In terms of preparation, when we have moments where we lack confidence or might be struggling, we need a support network to help us. Every single person will have moments where they are struggling with their confidence. Confidence is not a permanent state. It is a journey. It is an up and down process. And I might feel confident about something one day and not confident about it the next because something has changed. It's a different environment. I feel different. I'm physically struggling that day. I might be, overwhelmed emotionally with things that are going on. And we are seeing an abundance of that right now. So many people are struggling with the change and the situations that are happening around the world right now. It is overwhelming for so many people. So building that rapport is critical. Not only is it going to help you to have a support network, but it also lets people know that you're available as a support network as well. And those relationships can truly be a massive difference when it comes to truly being your best self at work. $5 principle. How well do you know them? Let me give you a great example. It was actually, I was doing this program, and I was presenting this program to a group of women at US Bank. And one of the women, while we were waiting to start, turned to another one and said, oh my gosh, you left that book for me on my desk about the history of fidget spinners. True story. The history of fidget spinners. I didn't even know that you knew that I liked fidget spinners. And she said, oh, I saw you that one day. And I saw that you had kind of 3 of them on your desk. And I thought, oh, you know what? When I saw that, I thought this is perfect for you. And all it took was an observation, being truly observant or asking true questions to get to know somebody in a way that if you were to go get them that $5 gift, it would really make a tip, really make a valuable connecting point for them. So something to think about. A lot of times this can be, I have a girlfriend who's amazing at this. And when I used to have a really bad day, like if something bad would happen, I'd be like, oh, it's been a rough day. And she'd be like, oh, I totally get it. And then like an hour later, she would drive by my house, ring my doorbell, leave, and I would open up the doorbell to find those little Keebler fudge stripe cookies. Like she just knew that Keebler fudge stripe cookies were one of those things that were like, you can't help but smile at a Keebler fudge stripe cookie. You just can't. You can't help but smile at that. So, those little things where somebody knows a favorite of yours, a comfort item, that's a really powerful gift. Okay. Oh my gosh, we have so much to cover. Moving right along. Onto confidence challenges. So here's your challenge. Make your desk look like you're ready for more responsibility and deliver a $5 gift for a colleague. It doesn't really have to be $5. I can't stress that enough. It can be completely free. It could be an article or a video that you share from YouTube. All it is really about finding something that is less than $5 that really connects with them. Okay, deportment. Do you present yourself and carry yourself with confidence? I'm going to have to go faster if we're going to get through this, so everybody brace yourselves. Number 7, this is called the rule of playing high. When we talk about deportment, it's really about how we carry ourselves and how we present ourselves. Now, you're all seeing me on camera, but I'd like you to just take a minute and just guess. Do you think that I could walk in and have a confident conversation with an executive from a company in jeans? I'm going to go ahead and fast pace this and go, yes, I absolutely could. Was that always the case? No, absolutely not. But a huge part of that is that the rest of me is in a position where my deportment is such that I am more than capable, regardless of how I'm dressed, of having a proper conversation and owning that space when I converse. I learned that skill over time. Now, we call this partly the rule of playing high. The rule of playing high says that if you are high in the pecking order, and I'm going to use the word pecking order or pack because I have dogs. Don't worry about it. We're not really talking about pack dynamics. We're not talking about alphas. But what I will tell you is that I saw this in dog training and it really stuck with me as I started to see how it looked in people. And that is that high status people are relaxed, they are typically still, and they are willing and capable of holding eye contact. You don't tend to see people who are confident or who are kind of in that high level position, kind of doing this. Well, I just don't know. I don't know. Like they're fidgety. Like that's not what you expect to see. So someone who is confident is going to be still, relaxed. They're going to maintain eye contact. They're going to own that conversation and they're going to be in control of their body. This, of course, there was a question about Bill Gates doesn't make a lot of eye contact. That's absolutely true. Here's what I will tell you. When you talk about people who are founders and whether or not, in fact, I bet if you were to ask Bill Gates, he would not describe himself as being particularly confident. It's a guess, but we're in control of that. If you become a billionaire, I strongly encourage you to do whatever in the hell you want because you're a billionaire. And if you invent amazing products that generate billions of dollars and thousands of jobs, by all means, do whatever you want. When you're there, you can absolutely do that. In the meantime, if you would like, I would encourage you to leverage these tips. All right, number 8, kids rule. Okay, all my parents out there, this is for you. This was really, really important when my kids were little, and it's something that I see happen a lot with women, particularly with younger children. Here's the rule. I expect my kids, and you should expect your kids to treat you as you would have them treat your boss. If your boss was to show up at your house one day and come over for dinner, how would you expect your children to treat her or him? How would you expect them to treat your boss? That is how your children should be treating you. It is not good for our confidence as women or as mothers to have our children be rude to us or disrespectful to us. My children are allowed to disagree with me, but they are never allowed to be mean to me or rude to me. And it is shocking when you see how many children are allowed to behave that way. So that is the kids' rule. How can you expect to be confident at work when you're being tromped on at home? So kids' rule, expect your kids to treat you as you would have them treat your boss if they came over. Number 9, the why, will, what, how rule. Okay, you know who you are. I'm looking at you. You know who you are. You're the person, or if it's not you, you know the person. Don't look left, don't look right. You know the person who's like, oh my gosh, it's so unfair. Like Bobby got that promotion and I didn't like it. And I was just mad. Like I just, like it's just not fair. Okay, this whole whinging, moaning, whining, whatever you want to call it. There's a time and a place to have really difficult conversations about bad things that happen. Before you complain, whinge, whine, or moan, I want you to ask yourself those questions. Why, will, what, and how? Why am I complaining? Why does this justify my energy and my action? Why am I complaining? Will I do something, or will the person who's I'm complaining to, will they do something to change it? In other words, am I actually saying something to generate an action or an interaction, or am I really just talking to hear myself talk? Will they be able to fix it? If they can, what will they do to fix it? What will they do to fix it? So if they're in a position to make change, what are they going to do? And if they're going to do that, how will I feel if they do that? So for example, If I was to go to someone and say, do you know what, like Becky totally stomped all over me in that meeting. Like she just, like she didn't even let me get a word in edgewise. She just, every time I went to open my mouth, she just stepped on it and just started talking in my place. Why am I complaining? I'm complaining because I have a problem with Becky because of something that she did. Will the person I'm complaining to, let's just say it was my boss, for example, will my boss be in a position to do something about it? Yeah, they could do something about it. What could they do? They could have a conversation with Becky and tell Becky not to do that. How will I feel if they step in and they do that and have that conversation with Becky? Well, I'm not going to feel very good about that because I've basically, kind of set myself up there, and now I'm going to have a problem with Becky because I didn't address it directly. These are the questions that you should ask before you whine, because everything you say all funnels downhill. So there you go. In action. We're not going to do the introductions, but I want you to just think about how you would introduce yourself in order to exude that confidence and that deportment. Stillness, eye contact, smile, chin up, head back, shoulders back, all those basics. Here's your big challenges, and these ones are difficult. For your next meeting, sit big and stand tall for your next meeting, even on camera. Number 10, brace yourself. This one's hard. 1 week, no complaining. No complaining for 1 week. No complaining. I have to repeat that because it's hard for people to bear. No complaining for 1 week. Be careful. Now, if you can do this, you will notice a change in how you feel. I promise you will notice a change in how you feel. It will be hard. If you have kids at home or a spouse, make this a house-wide rule for a week. If you don't like it, you have to change it, right? You can't just complain. You have to change. So number 10. All right, history. I apologize. We're going really fast now. I told you I tried to squeeze everything in here. History. Okay, history is an interesting one because we look at the past as if the past is an indicator of our future. It is not the case. So here's what I want to tell you. The first one is don't rewrite history. It's really, there's a whole thing I could go into about how we rewrite history. I could ask you all right now, have you ever gone to a job interview and you walked away from that job interview thinking, man, I totally tanked that job interview. Like, oh, I bit that job interview. That was awful. And then you still got a call back to come in for a second interview. That is an example of rewriting history. We have rewritten history rather than with facts. We've done that with our feelings. So don't do that. Number 11 is splitting feedback. This is a super tangible exercise I would encourage you all to do. And that is when you get feedback, either through your review process or even just like an email message or anything, like anytime you get feedback, particularly professionally, I want you to take that feedback and split it. We split that feedback into pros and cons, positives and negatives. Everything that someone says about you that's positive, did a great job with this, was really excellent at this, was prepared for this, was, had definitely learned new skills, whatever those are. I want you to keep all of those. They go into a kick-ass file. That's your kick-ass file. Everything that's negative, everything that you need to work on, I want you to take all that and I want you to throw it in the trash. You won't forget it. This isn't about disregarding it. I'm just telling you, you won't forget it. We never forget the negatives, but we struggle to remember the positives. So take all that positive feedback and put that into a place where you can reference it. All of your accomplishments go where you can get to them. All your negatives go away. You've already internalized that from just reading it one time. All right, moving right along. So make a kick-ass file for regular reference. That's all your positives. Number 12, pick one event and use the confidence equation to compensate. Go and download the form. I want you to really be thinking about your different dimensions of confidence so that you can start to apply rules and principles and behaviors that will change how you feel, right? This isn't about like, oh, just feel better. I'm telling you, you have to do something to make change happen. I promise this is true. I promise. So for example, I might come in and go, oh, you know what? I didn't feel like my preparation was on top of things. I felt really unprepared, and that's why I don't feel confident. So I'm going to improve my preparation by spending an hour the evening before going through my notes. I'm going to rewrite my notes into a more consumable format. I'm going to make a cheat sheet for myself so I can have it next to me in the meeting with some key points I want to raise because I struggle sometimes to speak up in meetings. Whatever it is, these are the actions that I'm going to take. And as a result, I'm going to make my preparation better. I'm going to feel better because I have taken action on my preparation. That's just an example of how that might work. Okay, bonus, you asked for it. These are the questions that you asked. How do I handle men or women who seem to overpower me? Oh, desk loomers. Does anybody know any desk loomers? I used to love desk loomers. They were hysterical. Number 13, I would encourage you to build rapport before, during, and after. Don't rely on that one event to build your rapport. Remember, we talked about different strategies to build rapport. Ask them for their help. People want to feel important and useful. You can diffuse a lot of tense situations and build rapport by asking them for their help. They do have something that you would benefit from. Everybody does. You can ask others for help in that situation. You're never alone. You have a support network. Make sure that you're leveraging that. Be more knowledgeable. You know who wins? The person with the right answers and the evidence to back it up. So always be very knowledgeable. Ask them questions, because that's a great way to diffuse a tense situation. And you always are within your right to end a conversation. I did have a situation where I worked directly for a CEO who was an incredibly difficult person to work with. He was also incredibly aggressive. He was also about 6'7". He was a massive guy, and he used to love to get into people's personal space when he was frustrated, and he would, get very loud and, very loomy and very kind of aggressive in that way. And there were a number of occasions where I just drew the line and said, you know what, this conversation feels really uncomfortable for me right now. So I'm going to go ahead and end this conversation right now. I would love to come back and talk to you about this again, but maybe in different context, because right now this is really uncomfortable for me. And you're within your right to do that. So, just be clear with who you're going to do, what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Number 14, how do I get heard in meetings? Be organized. Make yourself a cheat sheet if you struggle to speak up. Use other forms of communication to supplement that meeting time if you feel like you can't speak up during meetings. Make sure that you're sharing. One of the best tips I can give you is to actually go to the meeting organizer and say, here's a few things I'd like to make sure get raised during the meeting. I have strong feelings on each one of these. I know we cover a lot during the meetings. Could you help me to make sure that these points are raised? So set yourself up for success. This is all about setting yourself up for success. Number 15 was about asking for a raise or promotion. This is one of the questions I get asked most often. Here's my easy strategy for getting a raise or promotion. Miss Manager, Miss Executive, Miss whoever, or Mr. Boss, here's what I want to tell you. This is where I will expect to be at a certain time frame. In the next 6 months, I expect to be here. I would like to be earning this in a year's time. What is your actual expectation? And have you clearly stipulated that or explained that to someone? And then say, what exactly do I need to demonstrate between now and then to achieve that? They're going to give you a list, because you can't claim success unless you've named success. Too often we go, I feel like I need a raise. I'm asking you, and that's still good. I'm not saying you shouldn't feel like you need a raise. What I'm asking you to do is to challenge yourself to work with your management team to say, what behaviors, actions, check marks, what do I have to do to get here? If I get here, would you agree that that justifies a promotion or a raise? Great. Now I know exactly what I need to do. It actually takes a ton of pressure off of them, and it takes a ton of pressure off of you. Boom. There you go. Make sure you state your intentions, get a champion or support network, know your value and your alternatives, dress for the job you want, not the job that you have. It's a sign of respect for others as much as a sign of respect for yourself. And then make sure that you have that kick-ass file, because documenting your success is really going to be important. Okay, the question is, how do you counter the we don't have any money in the budget argument? Sometimes that is a legitimate argument. Sometimes organizations have caps on the amount of money that they're willing to spend. I would be very clear about that. And I would say, okay, here's where I need to be personally. This is where I need to be personally. I really want to do that with you. But the truth is, ask yourself this: if they legitimately don't have any more money, now this is different if they're giving raises to other people and not to you, that's a whole nother conversation. But if they legitimately have a cap and they're not able to invest any more in the employees or in your particular role, are you going to leave? Because that would be your choice, right? So, if you trust them, and I would have a really heartfelt conversation, a really open conversation with them. Okay, I understand that that's a situation. Are you expecting that to change? When can I follow up with that? If I'm being completely honest, this is an important part of my journey. And, that's something I have to take into consideration. I really love being here. This is where I want to work. This is what I want to be doing. However, personally, this is one of my objectives. How do we bridge that gap? Work collaboratively with them to have that conversation about bridging the gap. I hope that helped, Kristen. Okay, on that note, I would like you to do one more thing before we wrap up, and that is to sit down and right next to where you wrote your first word, what is the word that you would really want to be? What is your ambitious word that you would want to be known as at work? Like if you were going to wear a name tag that said this at work, what word would make you have that kind of, yeah, feeling every time you walk down the hallway? So you're walking down the hallway and somebody goes, hey, kick ass. How's it going? And you go, it's awesome. Thanks. You know, like, what is your ambitious word? Your ambitious word. I love it. Look at that. Brilliant. Rock star. Unstoppable. Brilliant change maker. Excellent. Ladies, it has been such an honor to be with you today. So what are you going to do tomorrow? You are a woman with kick-ass confidence. You are always learning. You are generous with your time and knowledge. You are respectful of your surroundings, kind but firm, believe in yourself, and know your own value. You have a support network that lifts you up when you struggle and keeps you honest with yourself, and you are in control of your own confidence. That is kick-ass confidence. You may go and get a copy of the form. You can get a copy of the slides. These are all available to you. You can scan this QR code. If you don't know how to do that, there's actually a link. You can just, it's julieholmes.vip/kickassbonus. If you haven't been to a restaurant since COVID started and you still don't know how to use a QR code, then you can type that in. Otherwise, I think you're all pretty savvy. You can figure out a QR code. Just open your camera on an iPhone and point it at the screen and it will come up with a link. Answer a few questions and you'll automatically receive all the bonus content. I even put in something funny for you because it makes me smile, and I would always encourage you to start your days with something that makes you smile. Heather, come on back, because I had to tear through the rest of that. I loved this. Oh my gosh, I had a lot to say.
Oh my God, amazing, amazing, amazing. And you did just amazing. I have like so many notes here. I just was like on the other page. It's unbelievable. It is 8:57, so we don't have much time really for Q&A right now, but you did a great job being able to answer people's questions, so thank you so much. I have my tasks, and you delivered because I filled out that survey and all my asks you touched upon. So thank you so much. I do need to wrap up. So like I said, we're going to keep the room open for another half hour. I don't know if Julie's able to stick around. If she is, she'll be at table 1, but she's given us so much of her time. So thank you, Julie. Amazing. Like she said, please fill out the form, use the QR code. Josh, we did record this. This will be on the New Hampshire Tech Alliance YouTube channel. So whenever he gets around to putting that up, please check that out. And the other thing I wanted to just share on my screen right here to show you next month, please. Oh, is that flashing for you guys? Seems to be flashing for me. I'm going to stop my share. That's really weird. One quick second. Let me do the share again. There we go. Okay, I don't know, a little tech glitch thing there. All right, sorry, I have no idea why it's glitching out on us, but please join us next month. I don't know why my thing isn't going. I gotta get it over here. Oops, shoot, sorry. There we go. Okay. Next month, March 10th, roundtables are back. So next month's going to be a little bit different. We're not having a speaker, so it's going to be all about you. You're going to be collaborating, engaging. We're going to have multiple topics. We're going to talk about how has the pandemic changed the way we job hunt and interview. We're going to talk about personal branding for your career success. We're going to talk about Zooming in multiple time zones and workplace behavior, working with people that annoy you. So that should be a very lively discussion. And then if you have any ideas of other topics you would like for the roundtable, please email me at ladueh@franklinpierce.edu. That's ladueh@franklinpierce.edu. And we'll add that to the roundtable. I hope you can join us. It has been my pleasure to introduce Julie today and be part of it. Thank you again so much. And hopefully we see you next month, and stick around for some networking. Thank you again, Julie. Amazing. Bye, everybody.